What if Obi-Wan Kenobi raised and trained Starkiller, also known as Galen Merrick, while watching over Luke on Tatooine? That's our story for today. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. Our story begins on Kashyyyk, as Kento Merrick is in his hidden home, looking upon the Imperial invasion of the planet. Kento always feared this day would come, and most of all, he feared what the Empire would do if they ever found his son. His son, Galen, was young, roughly 5 years old, but he was already strong in the Force, and as this invasion continued, Kento could feel a dark presence in the Force quickly approaching the home, searching for him. So Kento would turn to a group of Wookiees just outside of the home and ask for their help. He needs a pilot. A Wookiee Kento knew as Chewbacca would quickly turn, roaring in a way that let Kento know that he was ready to fly. So Kento told Chewie to get Galen out of here, saying he has a hidden ship deep in the forest. Kento gave Chewie a holomap, and Chewie gave Kento a hug goodbye, assuring him that he would keep Galen safe. And the Wookiee grabbed Galen as the child was crying, knowing he would never see his real father again. Chewbacca used the holomap to run into the forest, taking out a squad of stormtroopers looking for Wookiees, and soon they reached the ship. It was an old Jedi fighter, modified to fit a Wookiee and a child in the back, and Chewie took off over the Kashyyyk village. On the ground, Darth Vader broke the neck of Kento Merrick after defeating him, and he looked up to the sky to see a Jedi fighter escaping the planet. So Vader quickly made it known to the Empire that this ship was a top priority. Chewbacca managed to get through the Imperial fleet, jumping to hyperspace to the given coordinates. He was going to Tatooine, a remote world away from the Empire, where Chewie could hopefully find a haven of some sort for young Galen. Sometime later, Obi Wan Kenobi on Tatooine was just finishing his local work for the day, and was about to head to his cave when he heard whispers of a Jedi. Apparently a modified Jedi fighter was in a hangar nearby. Kenobi's curiosity got the better of him, and he snuck down to the hangar. He'd only been here for 2 years, but no other Jedi had been here, as far as Obi-Wan knew at least. Once near the hangar, Obi-Wan hid his face as a group of stormtroopers ran by, and a second later, the leader yelled out that a Wookiee and the Jedi child had been spotted. Obi-Wan would follow them into a hidden area of the large hangar when one of the troopers asked if they should contact Lord Vader, and the squad leader said not until they have confirmation of the Jedi. In this moment, Obi-Wan found himself back on Mustafar. Not literally, but upon hearing the name Vader, Obi-Wan realized a horrific truth. He didn't have the strength to kill Anakin on Mustafar. He was running out of time. He left it to the Force, and somehow, now Anakin Skywalker is alive. Obi-Wan would have to think about this more later on, because right now one of the troopers said that he has spotted the Wookiee and the child, so Obi-Wan acted. He could not risk Vader coming here with Luke here, so Obi-Wan ignited his blue blade, and in a blur of motion he moved in, slicing through the 5 stormtroopers before a message was ever sent out to Vader. As the final one fell, Obi-Wan heard a soft growl of a Wookiee. Obi-Wan would assure Chewbacca that he could be trusted, saying he knows Yoda was on Kashyyyk when the Purge happened. And so, Chewie would ask Obi-Wan to take young Galen. His father was just killed by Vader. Obi-Wan could feel the Force in the boy, and upon knowing Vader was alive, Obi-Wan knew what he had to do. He must train Galen, as there was no assurance that Luke or Leia would ever truly be able to be trained. So Obi-Wan would take the boy, thanking Chewie for his loyalty, and the Wookiee would return to his old life for now. Galen hadn't said a word since meeting Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan told the boy that he is strong in the Force, and he will make a great Jedi. The boy looked into Obi-Wan's eyes, and he told Obi-Wan that he wanted to get revenge for his father. These words hit Obi-Wan like a wall, and the Jedi Master closed his eyes, then smiled back to Galen, saying everything will work out in due time, and he took Galen back to his cave. Obi-Wan wasn't exactly set up well to raise a child on his own, but he managed to trade the Jedi Starfighter to the local Jawas, in exchange for a hefty supply of food and water for Galen. The new life would begin. Obi-Wan was tasked with not only watching over the young Luke Skywalker from afar, but also with raising and training the powerful, yet vulnerable Galen Merrick. The desolate sands of Tatooine were harsh, unforgiving, especially for a young boy unaccustomed to such an environment. The blistering heat and the scarce resources would push both Obi-Wan and Galen to their limits, as they would struggle to find enough food and water to just stay alive. Though Obi-Wan would do what he had to do, working hard in town with Jawas, and with people to make sure Galen was nourished, Sandstorms would often tear through their shelters, forcing them to dig deeper into the cliffs of the Junlin Wastes for safety. Tuskens would occasionally force them to relocate, making their existence a constant battle for survival, as they didn't have a home, just different caves close enough to the Lars homestead. But this would help Galen become strong. The two of them would struggle to get along at first, but within weeks Galen had grown close to Obi Wan, as the Jedi was keeping him safe and seemingly truly cared for him. Despite the daily struggles, Obi Wan knew that Galen's training could not be neglected. The boy's connection to the Force was strong, and it needed to be guided, though it risked Galen being consumed by the same darkness that took Anakin. Yet every time Obi Wan opened himself to the Force to train Galen, memories of Anakin haunted him. The shadow of his failure loomed over him, casting doubts on his ability to train another young Jedi. Obi-Wan remembered the temple slaughter, the signs of Anakin's turn, his love for Padme, the connection with Palpatine that Obi-Wan forced himself to ignore. Obi-Wan could not forgive himself, and the thought of repeating this with Galen was driving Obi-Wan's stress to the point that he could never really sleep. But when he was with Galen training him, Obi-Wan would always force a smile or encourage the young student. He hid his pain, as Galen was eager and gifted, but Obi-Wan was constantly plagued by the fear that he would lead this boy down the same path that Anakin took. He was torn between pushing Galen to his limits to prepare him for the harsh realities of the galaxy, and holding back out of fear of what he could become. Obi-Wan often remembered his past life: Qui-Gon, Satine, Anakin, Padme, Yoda, the Council, the clones, the friendships. But Obi-Wan pushed through in this new life, forcing himself to train the boy. And over the years, Obi-Wan forged a rocky relationship with Owen and Beru, who were initially wary of Galen's presence. They feared for Luke, concerned that the boy might bring the Empire's wrath upon them. But as the years went by, they grew to see Galen as just another child thrown into the mess of this galaxy. Galen didn't ask to be born with the Force, and yet if the Empire found him, they would destroy him for it. He was like Luke, and with Owen and Beru's permission, Galen and Luke did form a bond, despite the vast differences in their experiences. While Obi-Wan would keep a careful distance from the Lars homestead, he would occasionally allow Galen to visit, believing that the companionship of someone close in age would be beneficial for both boys. And Luke, although he was unaware of his true heritage, would see Galen as just a local friend, with their shared experience of life on Tatooine creating a bond. As Galen matured, his training became more and more rigorous, and Obi-Wan's fears only intensified, though he kept hiding them deep inside. The boy was strong, comparable even to Anakin at his age, and with strength came the dangers of arrogance and anger. The barren landscape of Tatooine was a training ground where Galen learned to focus his abilities, channeling the Force to survive in this environment. And with each victory in training, it was bittersweet for Obi-Wan. He saw echoes of Anakin and Galen's determination in the way he pushed himself harder each day, and it weighed heavily on him. Obi-Wan knew that Vader was alive, that his former apprentice had become something monstrous, and the thought that Galen might one day face him filled the old Jedi with dread. But Obi-Wan thought perhaps it was his destiny for his newly trained student to defeat his first trained student. When Bail Organa eventually contacted Obi-Wan to help rescue Leia, Obi-Wan would accept the mission. And because Obi-Wan had been training and using the Force over the years, he was not at all rusty when it came to rescuing Leia. He was able to land on the planet Daiyu, locating Leia, and when confronted by 3 Inquisitors, Obi-Wan handled them rather quickly, getting back to the spaceport before it closed for the night, taking off back to Alderaan in a ship that Obi-Wan stole with a mind trick. The mission was quick, and Obi-Wan never saw Vader, and Leia was safe. 15 years in total would soon pass, and Galen grew into a skilled, powerful man, hardened by the desert and his training. Obi-Wan, though much older and more weary, had done his best to prepare him for the challenges ahead. The bond between the two of them was strong, even as the weight of the past bore down on Obi-Wan. Despite all of it, Obi-Wan knew that Galen's presence here had been a blessing, both for him and possibly for Luke. He'd given the boy the tools to survive, to resist the darkness, and become a true Jedi. And recently, his lightsaber combat was beating Obi-Wan quite often, as Galen was using Anakin's saber. In the recent years, Obi-Wan had even gotten the ghost of Qui-Gon to assist him, and this added guidance pushed the training over the edge, turning Galen into the Jedi that Obi-Wan wanted him to be. The sands of Tatooine were harsh, but they'd also forged a young man ready to face whatever destiny awaited him, under the watchful eye of the Jedi who'd once lost everything. But the more time that went by, the more Galen wanted to get off of the sand planet and put his abilities to use. And one day soon, something would happen. A young Jedi was found knocked unconscious by the twin sons, a Jedi named Ezra Bridger. And when Ezra woke up, he was at Obi Wan's camp. He was looking for Obi Wan. Ezra and Maul used a Jedi and Sith holocron, combining them to find their own answers in the galaxy. Maul asked the holocron where Obi-Wan Kenobi was, and Ezra asked it how to defeat the Sith. Both of their answers took them to Tatooine in their visions, and so Ezra was here to get the Jedi to help fight the Empire. And when Ezra awoke, Obi-Wan told Galen that perhaps it is time for his first mission, separate from Obi-Wan. Go with Ezra, see what the rest of the galaxy is like, witness the rebellion fighting the Empire, and fight back. For his father, Obi-Wan said with a smile. And moments later, Maul would arrive here, so Obi-Wan would send Galen and Ezra away, telling Galen he will see him soon, and he would finally kill the old wound that was Maul, as Galen ventured into the galaxy. From here, Galen would spend a couple months traveling the galaxy, fighting in the rebellion with Ezra, Kanan, and the Ghost Crew, as they were welcoming to any Jedi to their cause, especially one as strong as Galen. They would go from fighting the Empire on Atollon to fighting Imperials on Mandalore, helping Sabine's family, even being allowed to visit the rebel base on Yavin 4, before fighting alongside Saw Gerrera, liberating Imperial prisoners. But in these battles, General Hera Syndulla was captured, and the Ghost Crew would launch a rescue mission to Lothal to save her. But after capturing Hera, Grand Admiral Thrawn informed Vader of this capture, and Vader himself would travel to Lothal, as he knew about the 3 Jedi, including Galen, working with this squadron. Vader wanted to wipe out these Jedi himself. As the Ghost Crew launched their rescue mission, Sabine, Kanan, Ezra, and Galen were going to the cell that Hera was being kept in, when they sensed Vader's presence. This was an obstacle they did not expect, and one they wouldn't be able to easily overcome, but Galen looked to the Jedi and asked them to go without him. It is his destiny to confront Vader. He has been waiting for this. The crew told Galen the Force is with him, as they went to find Hera, while Galen went to find Vader. And Vader himself stood in the main room of the Imperial complex, overlooking the city, when he did feel something in the Force, an angry presence, looking for him. And Vader's curiosity would get the best of him, as he left the complex and began walking the streets of Lothal, until a lightsaber ignited behind him. Vader slowly turned, seeing the boy. And in a calm, dark voice, Vader asked the boy who he was, and Galen yelled out at Vader that he killed his father. Vader's breathing echoed in the streets as he thought about this, then told Galen he's killed many fathers, and Galen will have to be more specific. Galen said it was Kashyyyk, and now Vader remembered. This was the son of Kento Merrick. Vader told Galen that he should give up this wasted life of a Jedi and join him, have access to real power in the dark side. But Galen, after years of waiting for this, just launched himself at Vader with ferocious speed, his lightsaber a blur of blue light, as each strike was strong, movements fueled by the Force, as he tried desperately to overwhelm the Dark Lord. The ground cracked and debris flew around, as Galen unleashed powerful bursts of the Force, attempting to knock Vader off balance. But Vader's years of experience and his impenetrable command of the dark side would meet every attack with a calm defense. His red blade moved perfectly, parrying Galen's blows with effortless precision, and despite Galen's relentless assault, Vader remained a towering, unyielding presence, his mastery of the Force evident in every swing of the lightsaber. He was letting Galen get close to killing him, forcing the boy to use his anger and his hatred. And as the battle wore on, Galen began to feel the weight of Vader's dominance. His strikes, once fierce and relentless, became slower as Vader's sheer power and experience began to show even more. Vader's counterattacks were devastating, each one forcing Galen further back, eroding his defenses time and time again. Galen tried to rally, drawing on the Force to amplify his strength, but Vader was too strong, his presence in the Force a crushing weight, pressing down on Galen. He tried jumping from a nearby building, but Vader was done messing around. He grabbed Galen with the Force, choking him nearly to death, then slammed Galen into a wall to knock him out. Vader scooped up the Jedi. He was simply not ready to face him, and he watched as a nearby refinery exploded, taking the Jedi Kanan Jarrus down, as the rest of the Ghost Crew escaped. Later, on Mustafar, Galen woke up strapped to a table, and the restraints were restraining his ability to use the Force. Galen tried closing his eyes, using the Force to connect with Obi-Wan. Vader, of course, was hoping for this. He wanted Galen to connect with whoever his master was, and Vader knew that whoever it was would come to rescue Galen. It was the Jedi way, and the Jedi could not resist. Vader planned on slaughtering the Jedi Master and showing Galen the true power of the dark side. Then, he would join him and become his apprentice to take down Sidious. So, Vader left Galen alone to connect with the Force as he called to Obi Wan Kenobi. And on Tatooine, Obi Wan woke up from a rare sleep to the feeling of his apprentice calling for him. It came in a dream, and in the dream, Obi Wan saw himself. He was back on Mustafar, facing off with Vader. And Obi Wan realized now that after nearly 2 decades of fear and regret, his destiny was to return to Mustafar and finish the job that he started. So days would go by with Vader leaving Galen alone, waiting. The last few years were devoid of any sort of meaning for Vader. The Jedi were all but gone, but deep down Vader only wanted to continue to strike down Jedi. He thought it was his purpose. He didn't care much for the politics of the Empire, and he could feel a confrontation with the Jedi Master was close. Finally, after days of waiting, a ship entered the Mustafar atmosphere, descending down, scanning for life, until Vader's castle was discovered. So Obi-Wan Kenobi would land in the castle hangar, descending down the ramp to find Vader waiting for him. Vader did not expect Kenobi, but this was perfect. Finally, their long-awaited meeting has come at last. Obi-Wan told Vader that the dark side has consumed him, and he's come here to free his student, and also to free Anakin of this wretched fate. Vader told Obi-Wan that it has always been his destiny to die on this lava planet, and today, he will fix Anakin's failure so long ago by killing Obi-Wan. The two of them moved in towards each other, until they swung hard, blades colliding over and over, slicing into the walls, through the floors of the castle. Vader was backing Obi-Wan up through the hallway, slamming his blade down hard and locking their blades together. Vader began throwing canisters and other objects at Obi-Wan with the Force, and Obi-Wan was still backing up, blocking strikes, stopping objects from hitting him as he ducked and moved into a new hall. Vader moved in as well, slamming hard down on Obi-Wan before both of them spun, colliding blades as sparks flew all around. Obi-Wan stabbed forward, catching Vader's shoulder, and Vader headbutted Obi-Wan to the ground. Obi-Wan stumbled back to his feet, barely avoiding a swing, as Vader now used a huge force push to catch Obi-Wan off guard, sending him crashing through a pair of secure doors. Vader just pushed him into the room where Galen was being kept, and Obi-Wan subtly used the Force to unlock Galen's restraints. When Vader entered, Galen pretended to still be strapped in, and now Vader and Kenobi, former master and apprentice, moved through the castle with a battle that was echoing everywhere. Vader was wearing Obi-Wan down, and soon the two of them were on a balcony overlooking the lava river, and Vader blasted away the walls, forcing Kenobi to the edge. Vader locked his blade with Obi-Wan's, pushing him down, telling Obi-Wan that he's been waiting every day for this moment. But right before pushing Obi-Wan to his certain death, a blue lightsaber erupted through Vader's back and out of his chest. Galen arrived just in time, and with the lightsaber of Anakin Skywalker, he killed Vader. The Dark Lord took one final mechanical breath, and he fell forever down to the lava, which would be his final resting place. With Vader gone, Galen would help Obi-Wan get out of here before Imperials arrived to get to them, and they would take off into the galaxy to Yavin 4, rebel base that Galen went to with the Ghost crew. Once here, the two Jedi would reunite with some old friends, including Bail Organa, and they would tell them about Vader's demise. This was the momentum shifter the rebellion needed, and after years of hiding their true strength, the rebellion would decide to make a daring move. They were going to invade Coruscant, as they had a plan to get the people on their side. On Coruscant, Obi-Wan Kenobi was smuggled onto the planet by a well-paid man named Han Solo and his Wookiee companion Chewbacca. A nice reunion for Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan snuck through the planet, hoping to find an old friend. Soon enough, Obi-Wan would enter into the old diner run by Dexter Jetster, and he would share an extremely heartfelt reunion with Dex, who was much older just like Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan said he needed access to the Coruscant HoloNet. Of course, Dex knew how to hack into it. He knew everything, for some reason. It would be doable based on how good your pocketbook is, and the rebellion would pay the hackers well, allowing Obi-Wan to broadcast a message to the people. Obi-Wan, now hacked into the Coruscant HoloNet, began speaking to every citizen here, every one of the trillion people. He told the people that this is former Jedi General Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he is here to ask them to fight. The Empire is vulnerable. Their strength is based completely in fear. They know the people are afraid to stand up, but Obi-Wan said it is the Empire who should be afraid of their numbers. He continued talking until a giant rebellion fleet appeared above the planet, and Obi-Wan urged the people to stand up, fight today, secure their freedom, and fight the Empire. And Obi-Wan soon stood alone in a warehouse as a large squad of stormtroopers ran in, firing at him to get this message to end. Obi-Wan was deflecting the shots, but he was being worn down. More and more troopers were running in, and right as Obi-Wan was about to be shot down, a wave of citizens ran in, fighting these stormtroopers led by Dex. As the rebellion caught the Imperial blockade off guard in the air, hundreds, then thousands, and soon millions of Coruscant citizens were rushing the Coruscant capital, taking down the security troopers, fighting back against the oppression of the Empire. Bombs were going off, buildings being ruined, but the waves of people was not stopping, as Galen and Ezra would land in the main city with a group of rebellion fighters, helping the people. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Palpatine watched in horror as his worst nightmares came true. The trillion people of Coruscant were coming to take him down. The Emperor, though extremely powerful, would not survive the bombing of the Imperial Palace that quickly came from rebellion pilots aiming to take down the Emperor and those close to him. Palpatine was dead. The rebellion would become the next true force of power in the galaxy. Over the next year, the rebellion would spread like a cure for an infectious disease across the galaxy, freeing planets, taking out Imperial warlords, and Princess Leia would lead the galaxy in political reform, taking steps with her father to establish a new republic. Obi-Wan would reunite Galen with Luke, and together, the two of them would eventually lead the new republic in destroying a Death Star that was not yet operational. Galen would be the one known for doing this, and it would earn him the nickname Starkiller as he became a legend amongst the people, establishing a new Jedi Order with Obi-Wan, Ezra, and an older Yoda in his final years. Galen made an excellent Jedi, and as the years went on, the Empire faded away. Thrawn, Tarkin, all of the Imperials that were dangerous faded away from the galaxy, and the new Jedi Order was rising. Galen made an excellent Jedi, and Obi-Wan felt true peace after freeing Anakin from Vader, and teaching a student who ended up defeating Vader and staying in the light. And folks, that is our story for today. Hope you guys enjoy. This was one that I got requested a few times, and I just really love the concept of Vader watching over Luke, but also training another apprentice. So I wanted to take a crack at it, and I decided, hey, we'll have that really diverge when we get to, the part in Rebels when Ezra visits Obi-Wan. Let's have Galen go with him, confront Vader, basically how the story went. I really enjoyed it, Vader wanting to take Galen as his students, proving that he can defeat a Jedi Master. Only to have Obi-Wan and Galen defeat him was, I thought, a fun concept, and then just the Coruscant Citizen Rebellion with Obi-Wan being the one to unite the galaxy. That was fun, so hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.